The CZ Media Podcast is brought to you by Rancho Bravo Tacos. They make it really easy to get great tasting Mexican food. You can stop by any one of their 3 convenient locations, Capitol Hill, U District, Wallingford, or you can order through Uber Eats, Caviar, or Chow Now. You can also text RBT to the number 474747 and you'll get deals on tacos, burritos, and more. All of the information is in the show notes. So you write a whole ton.
Yeah.
Like, how many words do you think you have written?
Oh, good heavens.
Have you ever had that question?
I have never had that question. It may well be somewhere in the hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions. I mean, I've been writing kind of, semi-professionally for about 10 years now.
So you really like writing?
I do. It's my passion.
Does it come easy to you?
It depends. You never know. And you actually, one of your podcasts about creativity, like earlier in, like, I think sometime last year, made the wheels in my head turn when it comes to this. There are certain things that writing about them will just tumble out of you. Since a lot of what I'm writing is kind of review work and kind of critical analysis, I guess. The idea is to write creatively about how a piece of art is affecting you. And sometimes that will literally just tumble out. I've had some of the best pieces I've written have come to me like I've literally in like almost a fever dream in like 2 hours. And then there are others where there is like so much agonizing tinkering that goes along. I'm not much of a create pieces and then cobble them together. I'm kind of a basher. I have to basically kind of engineer it from beginning to end. And once I get the introduction and the establishing, kind of tone of what I'm writing about, then it all kind of falls into place for me. It like makes its own pattern, I guess, as it were. So long story short, sometimes it comes super quick and sometimes it feels like you're pulling teeth out with a rusty set of pliers.
Man, writing to me is the most torturous thing.
Oh, it is. Even those of us who love doing it. Again, lapsed Catholic, a little bit of masochism in there.
I don't envy very many things. I envy people who can play the drums.
Oh God, me too.
Like that is like, I would rather play the drums than play the guitar.
It's like there is such a staggering amount of coordination that has to happen with even a bare bones competent drummer. There's so much they're doing. Absolutely.
And I can't do it. Can't do it. And then I envy people who have good knees. Because I've baby Jesus he did not want me to have good knees.
He skimped on the knee department.
He did. Yeah. I've not had good knees ever, really, ever since I was 18. My
condolences, because that would not be cool. You're not the only person I know who's afflicted with the short end of the stick on the knee thing.
Yeah, it's like, how hard is it, baby Jesus? Like, come on.
Pretty please with sugar on top.
It's like, even if you did give me crappy knees, then I ruined this one. Like, you can't. Do you see? Look, you see how I can bend this one?
Yes. Oh. It's not fun, folks.
No, I have mega arthritis in both knees, and I envy people who can write. Like, I think if I could do one of those 3 things, I would be the world's 3rd richest man.
I'll bet you would. You have enough drive to where you could do it. I'm a lousy self-promoter. I am a horrible, horrible self-promoter. I love writing, and I'm at the point right now where I think I'm pretty capable at it. But as far as pimping my wares, I'm really not good at it.
See, that's why you need me.
There you go. That's why I'm here in your podcast, Carlos. I'm going to be hitting you up for this stuff.
Actually, today, before the show, I went and took some portraits of just a really good artist. He's been on the show, Evan Peterson. He paints on reclaimed windows. That's his main medium.
That's very cool.
And he gifted me this amazing painting, which I love.
Is that the one that you showed me in your
Yeah,
living room?
it's an Indian.
Yeah.
It's a Sioux Indian.
Very cool.
I need to figure out where I'm going to hang that. But he's full artist and he's a mega drummer. So boom, two things that I want to do.
And he can do them.
And he does them expertly. But horrible self-promoter. He has, so there's an art museum in Oregon that wants to give him his own exhibition.
Oh, wow.
And I'm trying to help him come up with marketing ideas, but he just does not like to self-promote.
It's really, it's really hard. And you know what? I'll blame Catholicism for this again, because the whole credo of Catholicism is to be humble. You're no big deal. It's, don't make waves. Don't draw attention to yourself. And that's, and you need to kind of be the antithesis of that. If you're, if you are creating art and you want people to get it.
That's why you have friends that aren't Catholic.
Thank you.
And don't have those.
Thank you.
Hang-ups, if you will.
There you go. But yeah, but as far as, anybody who is a creative person, whatever their stripe, I think there's an element of you have to do it anyway.
Yeah.
You have to do it. There's, I have plenty of scraps of stuff that are looking to find the light of day that I literally just bashed out, not even intending or really even thinking it would have a home.
So when you write something, okay, I'm going to ask some super dumb questions.
No, that's okay.
It's like, where do you start is the crazy thing. That's I have a really good friend. His name is Levi. He writes, he's a prolific writer on photography education.
Oh, yeah.
He's done lynda.com classes. He's done.
Oh, wow.
He's done workshops and all over the world. And he writes a ton. He's written thousands of articles about stuff. And I talk to him almost every day. And I come up with these questions and these scenarios. And the first thing that he usually says is write an article about it. I'm like, I can't. It's like, I don't know. It's like how to, even in my own experience, like how to, how to talk to a model, how to shoot film, how to develop film, how to fire a customer. Like I've had to fire clients. Because it's just not working.
Yeah.
Like how to do that. And like, I have all of these things and he tells me, write a 3-paragraph article about this.
Yeah.
And if you do that 3 times a month, I will pay you to do it. And I just can't do it. I just can't. It's like I sit down to start doing it and I just can't do it. My Lori, well, I'm pretty sure I was pretty torturous to her at first because I didn't go to college until I was like 25 or 26. I didn't start going to college. I finally did graduate. It took me 6.5 years, but writing papers were it was just so painful.
Well, that's a different type of writing too, though. If you're doing like papers for college, that tends to be, there's so much emphasis on the academic that it's kind of a different animal. But to kind of get back to your observation of like getting started, like starting a piece.
Yeah.
It's really funny. I guess I've been doing it for so long. There's not a real magic bullet for me.
Well, here, I'm going to interrupt you again.
Of course.
Do you have a library of all the stuff you've written?
No.
That is horrible.
I mean, I have links, because I have authors pages on a bunch of these websites, but I don't really have, it's again, self-promotion. But yeah, I mean, I've got, probably 10 years worth of writing about film and music that's stashed away on various websites and in a couple of periodicals.
But not on any of your own drives.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I've got the obligatory, I've got the, the word pieces or the pages pieces or whatever on my hard drive. But as far as like one place where human beings besides myself can peruse them, no.
Would you want to have it all centralized?
I could see doing that. Yeah, absolutely.
That's so funny because, again, my friend Evan, he's taken pictures of all of the paintings he's done for the last 20 years. And he would use just his point and shoot cameras to take pictures of all these, except for the fact that he would buy like 500 megabit cards or 1 gig cards.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's super low. I don't know how
exactly.
techie nerdy you are. So a few months ago, he gave me this card. He gave me this pouch. And he's like, this is about 30 memory cards that has pictures of my library of the images that I've done. And then I backed them all up. And then he has about 80 gigs worth of content.
Oh, wow.
Spread out on less than 1 gig memory cards.
Oh, my heavens.
And I'm the only one who has a archive of what he's done.
Of his stuff. Wow.
And just me being a little bit more on the techie side, and because I can't do all of this stuff, it's like you should have a complete archive. You should have a mini server in your home
of my stuff
that has all of your stuff cataloged so that you can go back and easily see what you've done.
It's really interesting to think about that because this kind of gets into the broader notion of just, why are we on the earth? I mean, not to be all pretentious and stuff, but I mean, I think putting letters into words and putting words into sentences and sentences into paragraphs and paragraphs into like some cohesive story. I think that's my gig. That's why I got spit out on this chunk of earth. I think. Well,
I guess the question, as I'm thinking here, do you care about that?
I think there's an element of, and this may get back to the fact that I have no children. I've never had kids. So I think maybe there's some sort of inclination to want to immortalize somehow your little thumbprint on this planet. And that's kind of, so I've been, actually, this is something I've been thinking about lately because I used to write for Axis, the big megalithic entertainment site used to be the Examiner. And I used to cover concerts. I was the Seattle Concerts Examiner. And for about 3 or 4 years, I wrote pieces for them. And they took it all down. So there's like 3 or 4 years worth of writing that I did for that
So when
site.
you wrote for them, what did you write on?
I was mostly covering live shows here in Seattle.
No, but like physically, what was that written on?
Well, it was almost like having your own blog because you could like log in and actually
so you
put
wrote
the entries in there.
You wrote it on their
I usually
platform.
did. Yeah, I wrote it on their platform. And so at one point, like a year or two ago, they were just like, okay, we're done. And I had stopped writing for them because they weren't paying as much as other people that I was writing for. So
I mean, some of it has to do with also like how much do you care?
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, the thing is,
because if I go back and look at my, so for my picture catalog, I've been taking pictures for a super, super long time, but I only have like 30,000 pictures in my library, in my complete catalog.
Oh, wow.
And that's nothing.
If you've been shooting for a long time, especially.
Yeah. Like my colleagues who've been shooting for the same amount of time, whereas I have, what did I just say? 30 to 40?
30,000. Yeah.
I have 30. They have like 500,000. And then we start talking about that where I delete a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like if I just don't like it, I'll just delete it. And some people just don't delete at all. But overall, what I'm trying to say here is like, wouldn't it be super cool if you had like a catalog of all of the stuff you wrote? And the reason that I'm even saying this is because that's like I'm not gifted in that way. And if I did have that gift to be able to write, like, heck yeah, I would keep all that.
Well, you know, and I mean, I can't deny. I mean, I like, you know, for me, I don't, there's an element of ego to it, but also part of it is I have been writing about a very specific period in Northwest music history.
Okay.
And having some sort of like historic footprints of some of those things. It seems like it would be nice to have. It seems like it would be a nice document of the things that we collectively were experiencing in the first, 15 to 20 years of the century.
The first question that comes to my mind is like, who else is doing this?
Yeah, exactly.
So who's your arch nemesis in the writing game?
My arch nemesis. I don't tend to. I'm very lucky because I think we live in, at least with the Seattle writing scene, there really isn't a lot of that kind of sort of backstabby competitive stuff. I mean, it really honestly feels like everyone's very super supportive of one another. I consider myself to be my own competition. That's kind of how and also I think if you do anything a little differently than everyone else, you tend to feel less affected by the outside world. And so for me, for better or for worse, as you can probably tell already, I am a little bit more thoughtful and a little bit more wordy than most of the people who are writing about film and music.
Well, you're wordy and beating around the bush of who your arch nemesis is.
Well, I don't, I honestly don't have an answer for that. I mean, there are other writers who have gotten further than me that I, because of their, a combination of their talent and their drive, so I would imagine there's probably a little bit of envy in there, but I honestly, and this gets kind of back to the whole like self-promotion / whatever, is that I get an enormous amount of fulfillment writing what I write and writing it the way that I write it. And I'll do what everyone else does in terms of maybe a little bit of financial envy, but as far as what I'm creating and how I'm creating it, what I'm writing about and how I'm writing it, I tend to not compare myself to other people.
Well, that's good. In general, that's a good thing. And actually, I was talking to someone about that the other day. Of why are you comparing yourself? That's a lose-lose. I would imagine that for musicians and for other like artists who are doing more, I mean, I write creatively about stuff that I experience and like. Yeah.
There are people who write creatively, period. And I do a little bit of that, but
what do you prefer, film or music?
It's very much apples and oranges for me. I think I've been into film a lot longer. Film was like the thing that really, there comes a point where if you're a real big film fan, at least this was where it was for me, it's like you're inspired to either want to create film or to want to write about it. That was what it was for me. And
that's so interesting you say that.
Yeah.
Because I'm the other one.
Really?
Yeah. Well, so I wrote a screenplay of a short movie that I want to do. Mm-hmm. And I had it cast, but my actors moved.
The nerve.
So
Shit.
one of the things that I do is that I sent my screenplay to about 6 people that they're not writers. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know why I sent it to them. And then, of course,
are they film business people? Or?
No. I should probably send it to you.
I'd be curious to read it. They're up my way.
It's boxing with, I don't know. I just made fun of This Is Us for being a tearjerker.
And you wrote a tearjerker.
Yeah, I may have written a tearjerker. Would you want to read it? It's literally only 5 pages.
I'm curious. Yeah,
I think I can make it relatively easily. I just need the problem is that the 2 main actors have to be a very specific look,
very specific type. Yeah,
yeah. But the rest of I think I could do it relatively easily. I'll send it to you. Would you literally? It's 6. It would take you 3 minutes to read it.
I'd be happy to take a look at it. Sure.
Okay, I'll send it to you. it to you. But I'm what you just said, where filmmaker, film, writer. When I watch a movie, and especially if you watch a movie with my buddy Dan, who's been on the show, Danny Malo.
Yeah,
he's a sound guy.
Yes.
He's a sound engineer. So we've seen a few movies together and we both drive our women crazy. Because he comments on why they messed up the audio. And I comment on why is that color graded that way?
You're seeing it through the prism of your experiences, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I love to color grade.
Yeah.
And then he's only focused on the sound.
Yeah.
And it's that's where we're coming from. And then you're if the 3 of us got together, it would the building would explode.
There could be a potential
because you would say, "What is all this exposition that's going nowhere?"
It's interesting that you say that though, because one of the things I really try hard to do if I'm writing about a movie is or an album, any piece of art that someone's created that I'm writing about. What I really try to do is just experience it the first time through. Just watch it, listen to it, and just let it do what it's trying to do.
Right.
And then after that, for me, is where it kind of it goes into the
more critical
that sort of dissection process. Why is it working? What are the things that are working? What are the things that are not working? I mean, when you write about, in my case, when you write about film, there's an element of a structure that's sort of inbuilt in my head when I'm writing about it. I will write an introduction that kind of summarizes my overall feelings about what I've just seen. I will summarize said film. I will try to accentuate any positives about the film before I launch into negatives, and then kind of recap at the end. I mean, if you really, really break it all down, that's usually what it comes down to for me when I'm writing about a film. And most of the time, I will not engage in that process until after I've experienced the whole thing. And that's always been something that I've always kind of tried to hold
that
tight
seems a
to.
genuine way to go about it.
Exactly. Because I mean, one of the reasons why I love writing about film and music is because it's a way of articulating the experience that it's a way of articulating what you are feeling and what this piece of art is drawing out of you. And my favorite music writing, film writing, critical writing is when you have an element of the writer's personality in there. It's not just this is a good movie. It's I'll use an example for me. I was dealing with a pretty traumatic breakup, and I went into a movie theater and I sat down and watched La La Land in the throes of this breakup. And it's
that's sort of recent.
Yeah, it's recent-ish, a couple years ago. But when I sat down and watched that film, and I actually haven't written anything about it, but it's one of those experiences where I probably should at some point. I sat down and I was in a relationship that had split up with a really wonderful person who I'm actually still good friends with. But at the time, there was all that emotional turmoil. And this film, with its combination of sentimentality and technical virtuosity, too much wine, thank you, it really powerfully moved me. And I
love that.
And I found myself really, and I've had that experience a few times. There's a really great local musician / producer. His name's Eric Blood. And I will plug him
that's a
because
good name.
I think and that's his real given name. But he put out an amazing solo record that's equal parts kind of techno and sort of shoegazer and psychedelia. That record happened to come along during this breakup. And I wrote a piece for Artist Home about that record and about how it affected me. And it started out just writing about the record itself, because he put it out on vinyl with a gatefold, with album-sized slicks that had lyrics, gorgeous artwork, just the most beautifully appointed packaging. And then I was interviewing him a little bit online, and then I interviewed the artists a little bit online, and I was going through this breakup, and the music was moving me really powerfully, and I saw him play live, which was a truly transcendental experience. And that piece, it hasn't been super read a lot, but it's one of my favorites, because when I read it, I look at it, and I'm not just looking at extolling the praises of this really great piece of art.
Right.
I am seeing a direct window to how it made me feel at the time.
Sure.
And if you can deliver that experience to somebody in a fashion that makes them want to experience that art, then my work is done.
Exactly.
I mean, that's, yeah. I come from a standpoint of being an advocate more than anything. I mean, when I write about, I haven't written about a disappointing or bad Northwest rock record in a long time. And that's very deliberate on my part, because
Sure.
I first of all, there's only so much time you're going to want to waste on bad things. And second, and most importantly of all, I really like being an advocate for artists whose work I think is really valuable and matters and needs a wider audience.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. Especially, well, coming from the photographer's point of view, I'll relate it to that.
Yeah.
Where when I make a picture that is intended for broad viewing,
Yeah.
right? Like, because I take a lot of pictures that are just intended for, like, if I'm doing your headshot, it's just you and I. But if I make a picture that's intended for broad viewing, if someone looks at it and I'm like, and they don't they're like, that's crushing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would rather have them say,
God, that's you want some sort
it's
of
horrible.
you want some sort of reaction. You want it to stir some sort of
Exactly.
reaction in somebody. Yeah,
Like,
I hear you.
I want a hot or cold, because if it's in the middle, that's not at
very
all what I
interesting.
was trying to do. Because anybody can make a middle of the road picture.
Yes.
I want something for you to say, you know what, this is the worst picture I've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
That
or
is
this
far
is
better.
amazing.
Exactly. Well, yeah, pretty much. And the difference here, and why I think that writing is so much cooler. I think that writing is way cooler than what I do.
I don't know about that.
Because, like, taking a picture is 80% technical. It's 80%.
But this is the thing. That 20% is absolutely crucial, though. And I would argue this. I do a little bit of photography myself, not as seriously as you. I kind of by default started actually doing a lot of band photography just because I was writing a lot of pieces about music, and it was like, what do I illustrate this with? The same old publicity photo that the band's label put out, or do I go to a live show by this band and take some pictures? You know, I mean, I've got a decent sized archive of local bands, so that when I write about them, I've got photos to illustrate.
Super cool.
I mean, and that was just by necessity, but I can relate to the fact that, yeah, it is 80% technical. There's an aspect, there's a mathematical aspect of, I mean, I basically use point and shoot. I don't work a lot with apertures and filters and things like that, but there is a huge element of the technical to it. And there is also an element of your eye to it.
Sure, of course.
And even if it's, it sounds numbingly simple to say this, but if you are holding the camera and you're pointing it at a certain thing a certain way, you are expressing yourself. You're kind of imposing and inputting your view of that thing you're photographing.
Agreed. But my deviation here is that in any given event, you have hundreds, if not thousands, of options because you take tons of pictures.
Yeah.
You don't have that when you write an article. You don't have article 1A to choose article 2A or 2B.
Yeah.
Click here.
Yeah.
It's like you have your one shot to captivate.
Yeah.
Whereas with a visual medium, you have the ability to bombard people with what you're trying to do.
Well, but I mean that's kind of a construct of the type of art that you're creating anyway. I mean, it's any sort of visual art, whether it's photography or whether it's painting or drawing or whatever, is going to have a component of connecting on a subconscious level. Whereas I think with writing, it is easier to go into a more analytical and academic place. And I do try to, I'd like to think that I balance that when I'm writing about stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, because getting deep into the geek weeds is fun when you're a geek.
Right.
But the idea is to balance between preaching to the converted and actually being able to draw somebody else in, somebody who's not an initiate in.
Which is this funny that I'm thinking about this, which is why I love talking probably more than all of this. Because there's been a whole podcasting is super popular now.
Yeah.
But I think I'm a really big fan of the long form conversation.
Oh, I agree.
Because you can't, and I don't want to get political here or anything, but I don't watch any news shows. Like I definitely lean a certain way. Like I have definite beliefs in a certain way.
Yeah.
But I don't watch any of their content. Like I don't watch anything. I read a ton from a bunch of different sources. But the main reason that I don't watch anything is because it is impossible to articulate your point in a 5-minute segment when you have 3 other people plus a moderator talking over. Like it just does. That is impossible.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So I really like the ability to have these, podcasts or YouTube channels or whatever it is, because if someone has an opinion about something and it is for the sake of this conversation, we'll call it a conviction, right? A true belief.
Yeah.
There's probably many reasons why they believe that way.
Yeah.
And you can't do that a
5-minute soundbite.
You can't do that in a 5-minute soundbite.
Exactly.
So I'm a huge fan of Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Like I have Joe Rogan's microphone. and I just love the way that how he puts people on who he might not agree with, who for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But it's funny, if you go back and look, the people who have the most interesting complete conversations, they're 2+ hours long.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like even the conversation that he had with Jack Dorsey from Twitter. Like are you a Joe Rogan fan?
I like him a lot. I haven't actually listened, ironically, to any of his podcasts.
So Joe Rogan, I don't know, a couple months ago, he had on Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter. And Joe wasn't fully educated on Twitter's practices of how they suppress speech. And he had on Jack Dorsey and sort of he was giving him softball questions.
Yeah.
And Joe got tons of criticism because he said, you did not ask him about this, and this, and this, and this, and this, because there are tons of examples of how Twitter has suppressed speech.
Yeah.
So, and Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, has balls because he came back on Joe's show with his, although he did come back with his like vice president of policy or I don't know, something.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe had on one of the main writers. His name is Tim Pool, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
who just writes a lot about, his main thing is writing about Twitter's hypocrisy.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a like 3-hour conversation.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was just super interesting because you can't, and I'm not saying, I'm not debating here nor there. I'm just saying that if you really want to have a conversation, it's not going to take place in, 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And
There's-
I'm fully on board with that. I think this may be because we're both over the age of 30. We're not millennials. There is
They're
something.
the worst.
There is something to be said. I actually feel a fair amount of kinship for millennials, but
Why?
that's a whole nother story.
Why?
Because they are getting the fuzzy end of the lollipop in this world. They will never own a house. They will never. There are a lot of experiences that they're not going to be allowed to have because of the constructs of the government that was created by the baby boomers way back in the 70s. And not to get political.
I'll agree with 60% of that.
Yeah.
I think the baby boomers messed up this country a lot of.
Yeah, we can definitely, not to hurl blame at a generation.
No,
but
but it's, so the baby boomers, their worldview was the Depression.
Well, that would have been the view of their parents.
Well, that was their immediate experience.
Well, yeah, if we're talking the baby boomers, that was post World War II.
Well, they were born in the 60s or 50s.
Yeah, they would have been mostly, we're talking, I forget what the exact.
So their parents were telling them, we were eating dirt.
Yeah. And it was the first time in this country where there was an element of prosperity and an element of idealism about the future because we had just won the war. We had defeated Hitler. We were the greatest, nation on the planet.
Yeah.
And we procreated like bunnies right after World War II.
Yeah. Yes, baby boomers, greatest generation.
Yada, yada. Yeah.
But their grandkids are a bunch of pansies.
Tell me about it. It.
How about this? I'm going to ask you something.
All right.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Because you're a writer and you are expressing your ideas.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel about, how do you feel about all of these colleges protecting these kids from all of these crazy ideas?
It's such a slippery slope. I mean, and again, this gets into a much broader topic about art in general.
Yeah. Well, if you want to get down to I don't know if this is the correct word, either macro or micro, but if you want to get to the 30,000 foot level,
mm-hmm.
ultimately it's free speech.
Yeah.
Ultimately, whether you are arguing for whether you are talking and want to educate on one side or the other.
Yeah.
Ultimately, this is a free speech conversation that we're having.
Yes.
As a writer and as someone who shares his ideas, whether it be about film, music, it's the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. It's like you're still sharing.
Yeah.
It's still sharing your ideas.
Yeah.
Isn't it bonkers that these colleges are Tony, you wrote, okay, this is me. This is college Carlos.
Okay.
Tony, 5 years ago, you wrote an article that said that whatever. I don't think you should be able to speak at our college because you did not like X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
That should be terrifying to anyone who...
It is. I mean, it's a really super slippery slope because I think everybody, I think that so much positive outcome has come from things like the Me Too movement. And so much of what's going on right now, there's an increased social awareness that I think is an absolutely important and crucial thing for our evolution culturally. But it's a very slippery slope because not every piece of art that is created is going to be 110% palatable to everyone. And so sometimes you kind of have to look that in the eye. I mean, sometimes you have
But what should happen, though?
What should happen?
Like, should it be outlawed?
Again, slippery slope. My default is usually free speech. I mean, I really, free and total expression. But again, it's a slippery slope because.
But haven't we been saying this for decades?
Yes, we have. We've been probably saying it for a century or two. It's like it is an eternal, universal debate, and there's not a real clear answer to it.
I'll admit something on this podcast that I don't think I've said ever.
Oh wow, scoop.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Have I said this before? I don't think I have. I'm trying to say this. I am pretty much the most conservative person in Seattle.
Oh, wow.
But I believe that you can say whatever you want to whoever you want.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a business owner, you can set your own rules as long as they follow current law. And it just seems to me that a lot of people want to suppress what other people say or do. And I'll give you this might be a bad example, but it's just to circle it back to me personally.
Mm-hmm.
You look on my bookshelf there, that purple book, the fourth from the left.
The Mapplethorpe book, yeah.
I love that guy. Are you familiar with Robert
absolutely.
Mapplethorpe?
Yeah, absolutely.
He is one of my absolute favorite artists of all time.
Yeah.
Next to Hellman Newton, next to Annie Leibovitz, next to Ansel Adams. Mm-hmm. I even have a book there from a dude who did a bunch of Sports Illustrated bikini models called Sirens. It's pretty cool. I love that. I have a book here called Pinup, which shows the evolution of like the pinups.
The pinup girls. Oh, wow.
But Robert Mapplethorpe, just an absolute genius. And when his XYZ exhibition wanted to be shown in the Philadelphia Art Museum, mm-hmm. like conservatives went nuts.
Yeah.
They're like, it's pornography. It's like, whatever. I completely disagree with that.
Yeah.
Completely disagree with that. And I think that is just super interesting that it's sort of the opposite now, where it's like people who like liberal colleges, Berkeley, Kent.
It is. It's a concerning trend because I think one of the points of being in a university environment, in a college environment, is to have your perceptions challenged and to have them expanded.
Exactly.
And if you're creating too much of a safety bubble, I think everybody everyone needs to have a safe space. But if it's if the shield protecting you from whatever bugs you or triggers you is too thick, then you are inuring yourself from, I think, a lot of crucial experiences in life.
Then life is going to absolutely kick you in the face.
Yeah.
And you aren't going to know.
When I needed updated content for my small business website, I was worried because I didn't have a very large marketing budget. But then I found Carlos at CZ Media. He gave me a budget-friendly quote and delivered the high-quality content I was looking for. I would recommend you check him out. All of his information is in the show notes.
Here's another little stupid story that I like to tell. So when I was a kid back in Chicago,
Yeah.
I used to work for a company that managed all of the IT for race tracks.
Mhm.
So in Chicago, the main racetracks are Sportsman's Park, Balmoral, a few other ones, like just horses running.
Yeah.
And I started working there when I was a kid. And this was back when no internet for normal people, right? This was in the like late 90s.
Yeah.
What I used to do was go to work, take my own dial-up phone, unplug the server because it was dial-up.
Yeah.
Unplug the server line and then plug it into my phone and then talk to my friends all night long on my own phone. So what that meant was that I knew that the plug that I unplugged was the backup.
Mm-hmm.
What that meant was that if there had been any disruption in the main line, everyone's bets in the place where I was were not logged into the main server.
Ouch.
Yeah, but super bad idea.
Yeah.
So I finally got caught. I got caught. And then a 19-year-old Carlos walked into his boss's office. And my boss, his name was Paul DeLegge. He was this 5'4" Italian guy.
Yeah.
Our offices were in Cicero, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Which Cicero is like as Italian mobster as you can get for Chicago. This little 5'4" dude, and I was like 5'10".
Mm-hmm.
This little 5'4" Italian dude would stand on his tippy toes, point his finger. Well, he for this particular time pointed his fingers in my face, call me every name conceivable, tell me how I was a complete worthless human being because I had made this huge mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, this same guy said, no one is ever going to tell you you're doing a good job. No boss is ever going to tell you you're doing a good job, because if they do tell you and you ask for a raise, they won't have a reason not to give it to you.
What kind of split tit on a bull logic is that?
But that stuck with me.
Yeah.
And what that did is that created attitude in me where I never ever expected kudos from any boss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My kudos was just getting my paycheck.
Yeah.
And the difference between that and now is like everyone wants a pat on the back.
Yeah. There's very much, I mean, it's yeah.
But can you imagine some millennial right now with this little tiny boss just reaming into him for like a good 3 to 5 minutes straight on what a piece of utter crap you are and how you could have just destroyed everything and you're worthless.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was canned, obviously. But it's so funny. Well, anyway, I don't want this to get too crazy.
That's all right.
Should we talk about Crypticon?
I'd love to. Yeah.
I might split this up into 2.
Oh, I get a 2-parter. Wow. Rad.
So I'm tempted though, because either this can be a 2-parter or I can just
do some magic editing.
No. This could be a 2-parter.
This is the Gandhi of podcasts, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what? I've been doing some research and Gandhi was not a good guy.
Yeah.
Like sex addict.
Yeah. I've heard. Revisionist history is not too kind.
Yeah, I don't.
I was talking about Gandhi movie length more than,
Like his wife was sick and he didn't let her do a treatment, and when he got the same thing, he took a treatment.
Anyway, Crypticon, right?
Should we talk about that?
I would love to talk about it.
Well, no. Here's the thing. My thing is either we talk about it now, and this is a 2-parter, or I do this as a one-parter and then just convince you to come back, and then we'll do before Crypticon.
Oh, okay. That's
because Crypticon is May
3rd, 4th, and 5th at the SeaTac DoubleTree Lounge.
We're staying there all weekend.
I am too. Yeah.
This is the first. We've been staying just one day, but I love the movies. But this is what I want to talk to you about, because I don't want to go there and then just like, hey, what are we doing? Because the expo, I never buy anything in the expo. Although, should we talk about the stuff that I have gotten at Crypticon?
You've got some nifty stuff on the walls.
What is? I could just imagine what your office looks like.
I'm like, I've got some good stuff up, but a lot of the things that I have, I mean, I've been doing celebrity interviews for, this will be my 8th Crypticon, I think, going in this year. And I've got autographed question lists from everyone that I've interviewed.
Did you do the panel for Boondock Saints?
No, I did not.
Are you sure?
I would remember if I did a panel on Boondock Saints. No, I didn't.
Who did that?
That's it. Well, was that even at Crypticon?
It was.
Okay. Yeah,
it was late at night, and Norman
Reedus. Yeah.
Reedus had someone go and get a bottle of Jack.
Oh.
And then he poured People Jack in the panel.
Well,
the audience.
When it gets to be later night panels, we've sort of done a similar thing. One of the key fashion accessories for the 2018 and 2017 Crypticon was a hip flask. All the cool kids had a hip flask, myself included.
I really do wish I could smoke weed. That's probably 6th. Just a few slots under being able to write a really good paragraph. I just can't do it. But I like edibles.
Yes.
And our, I think, mutual friend, Leah and David.
Yeah.
Have you had a Leah cookie?
No, I have not.
Do you like edibles?
I am quite fond of them.
Oh, my goodness. Oh my goodness.
That's a whole other podcast by itself. I think one of the things that I really like about legal weed is that, for me at least, I love what weed does to film and music. Like your experience of it. If you're doing the right type, for me it's sativa. Sativa is the up weed, the creative weed, the one that you can function on. Whereas indica is the nap weed. Yeah.
I thought sativa was like a faux sugar.
No.
Like, put sativa in my coffee, please.
No, that's stevia.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, I actually I think that weed does interesting and wonderful things to film and music.
Yeah, I just can't do it. I've tried. I just can't. I would rather drink.
I enjoy, obviously, we've had quite a bit of wine already so far.
We've had fun.
Yes, I enjoy a good bottle of wine or a good drink, but when it comes to indulging chemically in the context of experiencing things, I actually really like what sativa edibles and sativa weed in general do to a film or music experience. I always remember very clearly my experiences with film and with music, if I happen to have been doing an edible or happen to have been practicing my legal rights as a Washingtonian, much more than drinking.
Okay.
We're like totally off on some crazy ass tangents here. This is great.
That's why people say, like, how long? It's like, I don't know. It's like, if I find you interesting, who knows? This could be hours. If I don't find you interesting,
then it's 45 minutes, and it's like, okay, thanks, good night. Well, we've been nattering on for quite a while, so I think this must be going okay. It is for me. I'm digging it.
Well, that's good. That's the point here. Although I am debating on air. Okay, it's not like this is live. I do want to talk about Crypticon,
Of course. Yeah.
but we're 2 hours in.
Holy shit.
When can you come back? I'm gonna go ahead and put you on the spot.
Let's definitely do it. I need to check my schedule, but yeah, I would be delighted to come back and just like 100% focus on Crypticon, which I think is actually, all partisan bias aside, I think Crypticon's phenomenal. I call it Horror Geek Summer Camp.
You know what? Let's tease this Crypticon show
Yes.
by just going through my Crypticon pickups.
Yes.
So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have six Crypticon pickups in my office in the studio here. So the first one is that one,
which is a really cool, evocative photo of what looks like some sort of like spirit / dark entity crying a river, literally.
I think it's supposed to be a take on La Llorona. There's a movie about that coming out soon.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I missed it. I got free passes yesterday and I forgot about it.
Yeah, there are some really, actually, La Llorona is a very popular topic of Mexican horror. There are some older.
My grandpa scared the crap out of me with La Llorona stories. And if you ask me, I saw her when I was 13 years old.
Holy cow. So you got La Llorona on the wall.
Yeah.
I'm admiring some of the other stuff you've got here too.
Which one?
I'm glad you've got a House of a Thousand Corpses photograph or
love
poster
that movie.
autographed by, it looks like, Sid Haig and Bill Moseley.
Bill Moseley was one of my schoolgirl moments.
I love that guy.
And Sig was pretty. So Sig, I went up to Sig and I said, I love your work with Pam Grier.
Yes.
And then he looked at me and he's like, you've seen my movies with Pam Grier? I was like, I've seen a few. And then he just shook my hand.
Oh, yes.
Like, I don't think that a lot of people know he was in a bunch of movies.
That guy's career is just like amazing anyway. He's been doing movies for 50 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you've been doing shit for that long, you're going to accumulate an awful lot of great stories and an awful lot of connections, like great, like 6 degrees of separation connections.
Right.
The hell with Kevin Bacon. I think 6 degrees of Sid Haig is pretty much like spot on, especially if you're going pre-2000 for sure.
Actually, I've seen House of Corpses, I don't know, like 3 times in the past year.
Mm-hmm.
I just go back and watch it.
Oh, yeah. I have it on DVD too. So, yeah. And my DVD, yes, is autographed by Sid Haig and Bill Moseley.
That's cool.
I actually, speaking of them, I got to do the 10th anniversary Devil's Rejects panel a couple of years ago.
That's 10 years already?
It's been 10. Well, it was 10 years as of 2015 or 2016, whenever we did the panel. So yeah, I got to interview, let me see, Sid Haig, Bill Moseley, Michael Berryman, and William Forsythe, Wydell. They were all on the panel, and it was,
my favorite Michael Forsythe movie is American Me.
Oh, wow.
With Richard James Olmos.
Yeah.
He was the white dude who wanted to be the Mexican game banger.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He was Olmos' right-hand man.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a great character actor.
He is.
Yeah, I think one of the great things about horror fans in general is we love our character actors. We appreciate the hell out of our character actors.
Indeed.
The civilians can coo on about whoever is the current trendy box office star, but when it comes to us horror fans, we know and love that 60-something-year-old dude who's the third guy on the left, who's carrying the rifle. It's fucking Sid Haig. It's Michael Berryman. It's whoever.
Do you want to hear my take on why?
Why?
Is because I think that with the advent of all of these cons, our characters that we like from these movies are accessible.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is not the way with the like Leonardo's and the Brad Pitts and they're not accessible.
Yeah.
Like I'll never ever The closest, like, I love Michael Jordan. The closest I'll ever be to Michael Jordan is when I was 15 years old and he opened up a driving range near my town. Like, I'll never be able to be as close to him as I was then. But you like horror movies? There's a good chance that they're going to be at one of these cons and you can actually meet them. That's one of the reasons that I super love bodybuilding. I'm a huge bodybuilding fan.
I noticed Schwarzenegger's on your wall.
I met Arnold.
Ooh.
He signed that right in front of me.
Oh, very cool.
But yeah, that's that's probably one of the most famous Arnold Schwarzenegger poses, the double back bicep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love bodybuilding. And to an extent, I love boxing because, as you can see, these are all.
There's a lot of boxing.
Like, none of my signatures in my studio office I bought. I've acquired them.
Yeah.
But with bodybuilding, like, if you see in my little shelf here, I have an iPad to the right. That iPad is signed with about 40 of the best bodybuilders of all time.
Oh, wow.
And actually, that's pretty funny. That's like the very first iPad that ever came out.
What a trip.
But I think that horror provides that same feeling for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so.
Where we can be attached because, hey, like, that's what's on here. I have Pinhead right here. I have Doug Bradley right here.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then I have another one somewhere. And on my desk here, you need to see this picture of Gigi. She's hot.
I would not dispute that assertion. Correct.
But yeah, I think that's part of the reason that we dig that a whole lot.
I think on a broader level, character actors are us more than I mean, we all, metaphorically, it's, collectively we aspire to be the lead or whatever. But I think that the relatability factor is always most present with character actors because they most of them, they don't look like a generic chiseled model. They exist to add texture to movies. I mean, the fact that Sid Haig is 6 foot plus and has this crazy ass toothy grin, shaved head, and a wonderfully wild look in his eyes. That's what makes him so frickin' awesome. If he looked like Brad Pitt, we wouldn't be talking about him right now.
And just the way he speaks.
Totally.
I love the way he speaks.
Totally.
This Shining on vinyl.
Yeah. Jack Nicholson.
So his name is, holy God, what's his name? Davy Scott, I believe. He's an artist who lives on Capitol Hill. And I'll definitely put his information in the show notes because he was diagnosed with brain cancer with the tumor.
Oh my gosh! Recently,
and he had surgery, and he has a shop in Pike Place where he does this, and he does just a ton of pop art. But I loved that one, so I bought that one. So it's basically a stencil of Jack Nicholson in The Shining. But I bought this when before he got diagnosed. So this year I'm definitely going to buy some more.
Cool.
So I'll definitely put that in the notes. And then I also met the new Jason, which I liked the reboot.
I don't think it was bad. The thing with the Friday the 13th reboot is it knew what it was.
Yeah.
It knows what it is.
I like the fact that the first 20 minutes before the credit, the title came out, I love that.
Yeah.
That was super cool.
Yeah. I think it worked for me. I enjoyed it. I see you have a Halloween thing on your wall. Who all is autographed that one?
So Derek Mears, who's the other dude? What's his name?
Dick Warlock.
No, he's the new one. He's the
Tommy Lee Wallace.
No.
Oh, he's the new one.
He's the new one.
Okay. Tyler Mane.
Yes.
Yes.
Tyler Mane.
Sabretooth. Tyler Mane.
It is Sabretooth.
Yes, indeed.
They should have used them more.
I tell you. They should.
But so do you want to know what my absolute favorite out of all of this is?
What is it?
Tom Savini, Planet Terror.
Grindhouse. Yes.
He hasn't been back. He was at Crypticon like
7 years ago, I think.
Was it 7 years
I think
ago?
it was a long
Did
time
I get
ago.
that 7 years ago?
No, actually. No, it could have been because that's Grindhouse, which is like 2008.
Well, 7.
2007. Yeah, thank you. It's right on the poster. So, yeah, it could have potentially been. I want to say because he was there. I didn't interview him for a panel, but he was there when I first started paneling. And I want to say it might have been 2012. So it's probably, I think it might have been like 6 or 7 years. since he's
Holy
been there.
mackerel. That's
Time-
my favorite one.
Time flies.
That is my favorite one. I love, like, I do very rudimentary zombie makeup.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, that's what, if I had been 18, 19 and like if he had his school,
Yeah.
I would have totally gone to that
Oh,
school.
who wouldn't have? Jesus, I would have loved that.
That would have been super dope. But yeah, I like doing zombie makeup. I'm semi good at it, I would say. Let me see.
I've never actually engaged in that particular sphere of creative expression myself.
One of the very first things that I did on myself was werewolf makeup.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me 6 hours to do because I bought a wig and then I individually glued little strands of hair on me.
Which is how they did it with Lon Chaney Jr.
Yeah, I mean,
Time-lapse photography, man.
it's pretty crappy. Actually, that's not even a good picture. That's so funny. I don't even have a good picture. Well, anyway, I like doing that stuff. I'm pretty good at the cuts and stuff. I'm the only male person that has a makeup kit. And I tell my buddies like I have a makeup box, and then they laugh at me. And then I punch them in the balls. And then this thing right here, I made that.
Oh, looks like it's a wax
Yeah.
with a bat and flowing blood.
Yeah, I did that. I
It's-
made that for my wife,
That's
but
very,
she couldn't put that in her office. And then my Day of the Dead lady, I don't know, I bought that like maybe 10 years ago.
It's a very cool painting,
It's
actually.
in chalk from an artist in
It's a chalk work.
yeah, from an artist in Georgetown.
Cool.
Well, I think we should
Have another glass of wine.
we're out.
Oh, dude. This must have been going a while.
Well, we're not out, but we're out at the moment.
These particular bottles have been completely expunged.
These bottles have been gone. So I think that I'm just gonna go ahead and bully you into coming back so we can talk about Crypticon.
I'm down.
And no, this Crypticon. First of all, Crypticon does not do a good job of promotion,
Yeah, I would actually concur with that.
and it is cool that they're creating events for the different activities that you can do in Facebook so that
Yeah.
you can like be interested in and doing it.
Yeah.
But as far as like their videos are horrible.
I haven't seen any of the ones for this year, but
They're not good. Like I could do videos that are 10 times better and I would be happy if they just gave me like a VIP pass, which I probably should.
you can always, yeah,
I should pitch that to them.
totally.
Because I don't do the VIP. I'm not going to pay $50 so Matthew Lillard can sign a picture.
Yeah, yeah.
He was a jerk a little bit.
Interesting. I had an interesting, I don't know if we want to get into stories. I think maybe we should save it for the next time because I have many stories. I've done 7 or 8 years worth of interviews with celebrities, and like all of them have gone really well. The Matthew Lillard experience was very interesting. very interesting.
I think he took himself a little too seriously.
That was actually not the problem that I had when I interviewed him.
No?
Yeah.
So the problem that I had, I'll just go ahead and say it, is that I made a vlog for Crypticon, which is actually pretty cool. Way better than the videos that they made. And I wanted to do a vlog where and I was willing to pay whatever he did.
Yeah.
And I was like, but can I just do this? And they said no. His handler said no.
Oh, wow.
I said, I just make regular vlogs. I only have 130 YouTube subscribers, not very many. And all I wanted to do was like, hey, Matthew Lillard's signing it here. And then for him to sign it and for him to say, hey. And he had two people that were running interference for him. And as soon as they saw my camera out, they're like, what are you planning to do with that? And I told them what I was going to do, and they're like, no. I'm like, okay. And then I just didn't do it.
Yeah.
And that's like, come on.
Yeah.
You're Matthew Lillard. Well, anyway, did you notice this? Did you?
Are you talking about the light switch plate?
Yes.
Yes, with the stitches in the flesh.
Yes.
It's quite lovely. I
Is
do
it?
like it.
Okay.
It's pretty awesome.
Well, Tony K, thank you so much. This is probably one of the most shows I've ever done.
Like one of the longest?
No,
one of the most fun. Good. Likewise, man. Likewise.
It is one of the most fun shows I've ever had. And we still have like a ton to talk about.
Oh God, I know. We haven't even scratched the surface of Crypticon.
The whole point of this was like I wanted to do a beginner's guide to Crypticon. Help them out with a little bit of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Maybe they can if they sponsored Do you have pool at Crypticon?
Alas, I don't really.
Why not? You're going to be on.
I'm on I think 11 panels this year.
I've done my research.
I'm flattered.
No, you're right. 11.
Holy cow.
You are on 11 panels. You are on.
And that's a low number. In past years, I've done like 18 or 20 in a weekend.
I was expecting more. What are you doing? You taking the weekend off or what? You're doing this huge X-File. That's probably the most important one. I am. Yeah, I'm really. Well, I mean, yeah, I think it's the one that is probably going to be the biggest one in terms of audience reception. That's the one that I'm sure will be. Do you know something? I've never seen one episode ever.
No, that's crazy.
I've never seen. I was a little too young.
It's interesting because I was that way with Twin Peaks until a year ago. I hadn't seen a single episode of Twin Peaks. I've eaten at
Tweed's Cafe multiple times. I've never seen Twin Peaks either.
Yeah.
But I've never even seen the movie.
I've mostly caught up with the series. I've got a little bit more of the second season, but I actually, up until a year ago, I had only seen one episode of Twin Peaks.
This is only an hour. May 4th, 1 to 2.
Oh, I know.
You need like 3 hours.
Tell me about it. I mean, it's 4 character actors, all of whom have had very interesting careers. It's one of the bummers of doing group panels. I love them. It's always fun to sit down with all the people who've been involved, or many of the people who've been involved in one single movie. It's really awesome to sit down with them and pick their brains about each of their respective experiences at that movie.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with character actors, as you know, they have huge ass careers, and it's always fascinating to get the vantage point of a working character actor, not just on the hit series they were on or the hit movie that they were in or the big movie, the cult movie they were in, but all of the other things that they've done. I mean, Mitch Pileggi, he was Horace Pinker in Shocker. Annabeth Gish has been doing movies for how long? 30 years now.
Yeah.
She's excellent in Haunting of Hill House. Am I going to be able to grill her about that? Probably not much.
I loved Hill House. I saw that.
I love that show. I'm very curious.
Well, here, let's tee this a little bit more. So you're going to be doing the X-Files.
Okay.
Barbara Steele.
Barbara Steele was the first woman that I had a crush on and was terrified of at the same time.
So she was in Black Sunday.
Yeah.
Was she the one who banged your son?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
Black Sunday is not. There's no sun banging in
Like
Black
the
Sunday.
remake of Black Sunday, I don't even think it touched on that. Did it?
No, there is a movie called Black Sunday, but it's like a second movie in 1977, but it's like a thriller. It's like more of like a cosmopolitan thriller with like the Goodyear blimp and plans to bomb a stadium and all this other stuff. So it's not a remake of the Mario Bava, Barbara Steele Black Sunday. But I mean, this is a woman who had done movies at the peak of kind of the Italian Gothic horror boom in the 60s. She basically told Hollywood to screw off and left Hollywood in favor of Italy. She did a film with Fellini. She worked with really some of the great like Italian genre directors.
Well, she was in Pin the Pendulum.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, if we want to talk about the first movie moment that scared me, the closing shot of Pit and the Pendulum with her and her eyes scared the living shit out of me when I was 9 years old. And it was a Friday night and I was watching Nightmare Theater in the late 70s on TV. I just think that it'll be a fascinating interview. You know, we're talking about 50 years of horror history there.
Okay. I'm excited for that.
Me too.
And she was in Piranha too.
Absolutely.
And then you got some like allyship in horror.
Yeah. That's kind of that's sort of the welcome mat for I think newbies is what I think that panel is intended to be.
You know, I met Lee and David Zuber.
Uh-huh.
I love them both.
Yeah.
Mega.
Me too.
We're super great friends. They come over relatively often.
Mm-hmm.
And we met them at Crypticon like 5 years ago. That's super awesome.
Yeah.
Then I think I'm going to go to this one. You're also doing essential horror movies everyone needs to see.
Yes. What's nice is, and this will coalesce nicely in, are we really going to, we're doing a whole other episode right now.
Well, this is the teaser.
Yes, this is
so
the
give
teaser.
me a 4-sentence summary.
4-sentence summary. There are essential horror films that you know about, and there are essential horror films that you don't know about.
Yes.
And we want to cover as many as possible in that hour-long panel.
And the one that, okay, I have to add it to my iCalendar is the most shocking and disturbing movies of all time.
That should be absolutely
Oh,
fascinating.
wait, you're not on
I'm not
this
on
one.
that panel, though. I'm hoping I don't have a panel opposite.
This one's at
yet.
9 p.m.
On
on the
Friday.
3rd.
On Friday.
You should be on that one.
I'll have to check and see if I'm on one. I tend to...
Everyone's going to say Siberian movie.
Oh, a Serbian film.
Serbian film.
Yeah. That's not, that's not the only disturbing movie ever made. Thank heavens.
Okay, give me, since you're not on this one, what is your most disturbing?
There are a bunch of them that I would.
I don't think it's hard to do a whole movie. Like there's
Yeah.
disturbing scenes.
Yeah. Overall tone, I think, is something that they're kind of trying to reach for. As far as
You know what would be a good one here for the most shocking and disturbing cartoons of all time?
would be
Big Mouth.
Big Mouth
on
yes.
Netflix.
Yes. Okay. Shocking and disturbing Cannibal Holocaust.
I was bored.
I had the good fortune, quote unquote, of seeing that during a less jaded time when it completely smacked me upside the head.
Yeah.
Because there's some heavy shit in that movie. It's
like I would think that I don't know, like Hostel I think rates a tad bit higher than that one. For modern.
There are definitely disturbing elements in it, but I think you get pulled out of it because I think it kind of loses its shit like a tourist in Mexico with Montezuma's Revenge.
For the first one?
Yeah, the first one about halfway through.
Really?
Ironically,
the second one did that to me.
Yeah,
the third one was just unwatchable.
I haven't even seen the third one. Have no desire to. Yeah, my thing with the first one is I think that the first third of it is brilliant. And ironically enough, I think that when it starts to kind of go off the rails is when it starts to get really bloody. when the violence kicks in heavily.
Yeah.
Because and then you get into that whole like it's well directed and it's fast paced, but you get into all that like goofy sort of action movie, chase movie stuff at the end, you know, with the Japanese woman, and it's like, why?
And then she jumps in front of it. You know, probably why I like that movie is because I'm a huge Howard Stern fan. Believe it or not. I love old Howard, not new Howard.
Yeah, yeah.
He's mainstream now.
Yes, yeah.
I liked it when he was making fun of lesbians and Mexicans and midgets, and I love that. But Eli Roth was a guard for Howard Stern doing the filming of Private Parts.
Whoa.
And he was writing Hostel during that.
Wow.
And he would talk to Howard about it.
What a trip.
That's why I like it. Because there was a connection to Howard there.
What a trip. I had no idea.
And Howard would talk about it. He's like, yeah, I have this kid who's like bothering me about his dopey movie. Are you're not a Howard? You're not a Stern fan?
I haven't listened to a lot of stuff. I mean, I think he's far more intelligent than he's been given credit for.
He's super brilliant.
But yeah, I just have never gone down that path.
Oh, I used to listen to Howard, 8 years old on the drive to school.
Oh, wow.
And
he was part of your childhood.
Indeed. But, okay, so I'll talk about this for 2 minutes. So one of the big things about Howard, did not take himself seriously at all.
Mm-hmm.
Super self-deprecating.
Yes, he is.
And that is perfect for a young kid. Because that is completely contrary to how things are now.
Yeah.
Where like everything is super serious. Everything is life or death. And you have like, if you don't get validation, then you're going to kill yourself.
Yeah.
But when I would listen to Howard, he would talk about all of his insecurities. He would talk about how, his big thing was like he had a little wiener, which just which just snowballed.
I seem to remember the terminology hung like a pimple coming out of him. Yes.
But as a kid listening to this and thinking, okay, this guy is laughing at himself, not taking himself seriously, but at the same time is like super popular, super successful because
partially because he's opening up to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty much paramount to me, not taking criticism seriously, not taking myself seriously, which is so okay. I'll pontificate on this a tad. So I've been doing this show.
We're past the 2-minute mark.
We are. I'm okay with that. This is going to be a 2-parter, but I'm still going to make you come back.
I know we've talked for 2.5 hours, and I think 15 minutes of it's been Crypticon.
It's been so easy, though. Hopefully, you're having fun.
Hey, I can't complain. I'm having fun chatter. I'm drinking great wine. It's all good.
Like I don't want to script these. Like,
Yes,
I try to. Like early on, like the very first one, mm-hmm. The one that you said that you listened to where Dan and I talk about creativity.
Yeah.
I scripted that out. That was horrible. Wow. I did not like how that turned out at all. And I think I've scripted a couple other ones, and then I just realized that's not how I work. At least not yet.
Yeah.
Like maybe at some point.
Yeah.
I'll have to be a little bit more careful about that.
Yeah.
But that's just not my personality at all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, I forgot what I was going to say.
There was some pontification that was about to occur.
About what?
It was going to be 2 minutes.
About the whole Howard thing?
Yeah, I think there was some sort of lateral detour towards Howard Stern.
I love the guy.
Yes.
He went soft, though.
That's what always happens, though, man. They start out dangerous and envelope pushing, and then they become the mainstream.
Well, it lasted 20 plus years.
That's a long time.
Although, have you, Letterman.
Yes.
Has a Netflix show.
Yeah. I've watched a couple episodes. Yeah.
My next guest.
Yeah.
So Howard was one of his episodes, and Howard had a huge beef with Letterman.
Oh, wow.
I mean, Howard's always hated Jay Leno.
I would agree. I'm not a big Jay Leno fan
I
either.
like Jay. That's my Jay Leno.
That's a pretty good Leno, actually. at least insofar as I care, because I'm kind of not a Jay Leno fan. But
I love his car collection.
I can't argue with that. He's got some nice motorcycles, too.
Oh, plenty.
Hell yeah.
He's just a smart dude. He has not spent any of his Tonight Show money. That's why he's worth $1 gazillion.
Mm.
He's only spent the money that he's made touring on his comedy shows.
Jeez. Must be nice to have that kind of disposable income.
You know, we should probably talk about that. Did you hear that Russell Wilson got 140 mil?
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I'd like a piece of it. I'm the wrong person to ask about that stuff just because
But are you going to say, oh, we could have spent that much money on, you know how many tiny homes you could build with $140 million?
Well, I would definitely agree with that assessment considering the amount of money that I live on a year-to-year basis. But the thing is, it's the market. This guy is huge.
Yeah.
This guy is a linchpin on the team. And this guy, this guy is one of the reasons they net the revenue that they do. So,
exactly.
I can understand that.
So what I've been doing, I don't troll.
But
I trolled twice with all of these, who did it? Like the news posted it or someone. And you have all these people saying like, oh, he's so greedy. Like $140 million, you know what that would do? I wrote, you know what? I wish I was as good at something that someone would pay me $140 million. And I still wouldn't give any of that money away. I would keep it all. That's what I would do.
I'd be a bad rich person. I would be a terrible rich person because and I think this gets back to the whole self-promotion thing. I'm not motivated by money. I'm really not.
Money
and I know
stupid.
I should be because
No.
there needs, moderation in everything, but
Yeah.
I've never been motivated by money. If I were, I would be less impoverished than I am right now. But
I'm not either. Although since my wife is in the next room and she's probably listening, she's probably saying, I wish you were probably a little bit more motivated by money. But I've never made $1 gazillion.
mm-hmm.
But I was in software sales for a super, super long time, like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're semi-decent at sales, especially tech sales, and if you've been doing it for 10 years, if you're not making a nice amount, then something's wrong.
You're not cut out for the job, basically.
But it was just dumb. It was just dumb. Again, if hopefully my wife is asleep and she's not listening, it's so much like it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's just not. But if I could play something, like if I could, I don't know, play darts, someone would pay me $1 million. I'm a great dart player.
Damn it. Where is the NDL, the National Dart League?
The National Dartist, like I could play with Irish people. I could probably beat them.
Boy, if you could take out an Irishman at darts, then you must be something special.
Like that.
What the hell? This wee Latin lad. He's totally taking it out.
That's so funny. I used to have a boss that we would go drinking and he would hustle me. No, wait, he would use me to hustle people playing darts.
Oh, really? You were the ringer.
I was. I'm good at darts. I am super good at cricket. I will murder anybody.
Oh, man.
In cricket playing darts.
Wow.
I don't know why. And then I have this really unorthodox, like most people throw darts like this.
Mm-hmm.
I throw it like this.
Also, kind of from your chest,
Yes.
sort of angling slightly upward.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good at darts.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done now.
Somewhere along the lines, there was some pontificating that was related
I
to
forgot
something else.
what I was going to say. I pontificate a lot.
That's okay. It's your podcast. You can pontificate if you want.
That's
to.
right. But this is going to be a two.
It's going to be epic, man. This is like the Lord of the Rings of podcasts.
Are you going to share this?
Man. Am I going to share this? Of course I'm going to share
You
this.
have a pretty strong following.
Do I?
You do.
Oh my God. I had never really thought about this like that.
You do have a strong following.
Wow. I do a little something on Facebook every now and then.
No, people follow. People listen.
Wow. I never thought of that.
They do. That's what I'm saying. It's like, that's why that's why I was asking who your arch nemesis is.
Yeah.
So I could have him on later.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, part of it is just, I say this without the least bit of like self-aggrandizement, but I'm a really nice guy.
You are.
And I'm not saying that as something to be self-aggrandizing, because it's really damned annoying and it gets me into trouble. But I'm kind of an inherently nice guy. It's like sort of my second nature. And so I don't tend to accumulate a lot of enemies. I don't tend to make a lot of enemies. I don't tend to inspire. I don't tend to find myself being an enemy of people. So, but yeah, I'm intrigued that it's, if you've been writing for a while, if you've been doing stuff like this for
You
a
just
while,
have to.
you kind of, it's a ripple effect, You write something favorable about a band that you love. That band has a following. They read what you've written. Maybe they're able to use whatever you've written for pull quotes for their PR stuff, and it's a ripple effect. So people,
Right.
It's not anything about what an astonishing tastemaker I am as much as it is I just like what I do, and
it
just
shows
organically. People will
I've
kind of clue in.
Every panel that I've been on that you're doing, people are mega invested and enthralled.
Mm.
Did you do the Clint Howard panel?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a favorite one.
Yeah. I loved interviewing him.
That was super cool.
He was so awesome. That guy, speaking of great, again, classic character actor, he definitely is not cut from the leading man cloth. I think he'd be the first person to admit that, but man.
It's like he is maximizing in his own way the Howard name.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah. It was super cool. It was super cool. It was super cool hearing him talk about the stories of him. Like he talked about his dad more than I think that he talked about Ron.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. He talked about his dad a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that one. That was super good. Okay. We're done.
Okay.
Because you're gonna come back.
I would be delighted to come back.
Because I really do want to have the noob's guide
to Crypticon,
because it's a big event, lots of panels, lots of things to do, lots of movies. Actually, I love the short festivals.
Oh yeah, I know. The Shorts Festival is awesome.
I love those.
I got to help judge some of that today or this year.
How do I do that?
Get
me in there. Do you get a DVD?
No, I don't. They just send us digital links.
Is it that one dude?
It's that one dude.
He has a belly.
It's that one dude. Maybe you're talking about Eric Margaret.
He looks like a businessman.
There are a few people who are very businessman looking in the higher ups of the convention.
So we're gonna be there the 2 nights this time because I always miss it. They have good ones on Friday.
Yeah.
And I miss the Friday ones because we don't go Friday. We usually go Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna be there both nights this time. Yeah, I love those shorts. I love the one about the gay kid vampire. That was pretty funny.
There are a lot of good ones this year too. A lot of really good ones.
Oh,
it's a good selection.
How do you get me in on judging those?
That's the thing. I am like, again, self-promotion and getting connections. I'm really lousy at these things. At least I never thought of the fact that I was networking when I would talk to somebody and enthuse with them about something I was doing, and then write about something that they had done. And then next thing I know, I guess I've got a friend who does X and Y and Z, and all of a sudden,
well, there you go.
I'm networking without realizing it. So, I'm a very not quite adequate source of
not yet
connection stuff.
You are, just not yet. You need a Mexican friend.
Thank you for being
actually
my Mexi
I messaged
friend.
you saying you need a Mexican friend.
Yes, a Mexi friend. I am glad to have a Mexi friend.
Like taco
there you
taco
go.
times Mexican.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed that there wasn't some Rancho Bravo action going on tonight.
I ate too much.
Okay.
No, we actually had tater tot casserole, which we didn't make, but we had. But if you come, I'm civilized.
You're cultured. That's fine cuisine, dude. That's fine cuisine.
Okay, we're done for right now. Thank you so much for listening. I didn't tell people you need to subscribe, share, like, review. I have a donate button on this page.
Oh, cool.
No one's donated yet.
Hey, there's always a first.
I need a new one of these. So if people would, no one saw what I pointed to, but
You pointed to your
my mixer,
super high-tech mixer.
Yeah, that's
which
the best.
is not quite super high-tech enough.
That's the best. 1973.
Hence the need for some donations.
I mean, it works, but like I need something a little new. So if you click that like button on the donate, that would be awesome. If you click that donate button, that would be awesome. But if not, I will be equally as happy with if you subscribe. Every one of Tony K's fans, please subscribe to the podcast.
Both of you are the greatest.
That's right. Send me an email, czmediapodcast@gmail.com. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, or the website. Most people listen from the website.
Interesting. I do it via iTunes. So
Do you?
yeah.
iTunes was being uncooperative for a while. It took me about 15 hours to figure out what was wrong.
You're not the first podcaster who's told me that.
I should be on that podcast panel. And it was so dumb. You know what it was?
What?
So what was happening is that I was posting new shows and they weren't showing up on iTunes, but they were showing up on Stitcher. It was when you upload files to iTunes, they do not want any special characters in the file name. And what I was doing was I was putting 24-Tony K .mp4.
Yeah.
That dash was messing everything up.
Jeez.
So I was about 25 shows in. I had to go back, re-upload everything, take all of those special characters out, and then boom, everything works. Only for iTunes.
Jesus.
I spent tons and tons of time. There's about 20 emails back and forth between my podcast provider and iTunes, and they're each blaming each other of why it doesn't work.
Of course.
Which is typical tech support issues.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I should definitely be on that.
You should sit in, offer some feedback, man.
If I did do that, my friend who taught me everything, he would be so mad. He'll be like, you didn't know anything before I told you what it was.
You are nothing before me.
Like, that's right. That's why I take stuff and then I become an expert at it. Like, that's a whole thing here. It's a very delicate balance. Okay, Tony.
But we diverge.
This is going to be a two-parter. Thank you, everyone. Sir, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.
I
sir.
so greatly appreciate it. And I am so looking forward to the next conversation where we actually talk about Crypticon. And we have to do it before Crypticon is going.
Yes. We've got a couple of weeks yet. So.
We'll do. But thank you, everyone, for listening. Subscribe, like I said, and we'll see you again.
Ciao.
Adios.